Hello, everyone, and welcome to Outrageous Outdoors, a celebration of those who work in, explore, and protect the wild. I'm Patrick from Outrageous Insight, and I am absolutely delighted to welcome you today. We've had a few technical problems, it's fair to say, but I'm hoping that the tech gremlins stay away from us. Now, on behalf of myself, and my co-hosts and co-organisers, Ali Leonard and Marianne Smith-Janis from Market Tree. Welcome to the festival.
And I'm Megan from Under Armour, where I'm lucky enough to lead teams who do product testing, both in the lab and on athletes in the field of play. Super excited to have everyone here with us today, celebrating everyone's great outdoors. We have a fantastic lineup of 14 speakers, which includes athletes, adventurers, and representatives from top active and global brands, as well as a prize draw and more. Each speaker has just 3 minutes to share one big idea or story. And this is not easy, y'all. This is not easy. So please be sure to compliment and support the speakers as we go in the chat. If you post off platform, we're going to use the hashtag everyone's great outdoors so that we can continue the discussion live and for those watching on demand as well.
So, folks, we want you to think of this festival as a great non-alcoholic cocktail party with the best speakers, the best guests, entertainment and inspiration. So first off, why not add your LinkedIn profile into the comments so that we can start to connect with each other. And please connect with the speakers as well. They're absolutely fantastic. And as Megan said, are looking for inspiration and encouragement as they do something that really is not easy at all.
All right, it's time to get started. Our first speaker is Jennifer Liu, Customer Research Lead at REI based in Portland, Oregon. Jen, welcome to Outrageous Outdoors. Are you ready?
Yes, I am. Hello there. Good morning. Thank you so much, Patrick and Megan. What a fabulous way to start off the day. I am delighted to be here. So just a quick introduction to REI to start. REI is an outdoors gear and apparel retailer in the US. We have a firm belief that a life outdoors is fundamental to a life well lived, and we want everyone to be able to enjoy the outdoors. While we do encourage everyone to opt outside, we recognize that more than 100 million Americans actually don't have access to outdoor spaces close to where they live due to cultural, systemic, and physical barriers. So one way that we're combating this at REI is through a commitment we're calling Outside in 5. The mission of Outside in 5 is to ensure that everyone can access green spaces and fresh air within just 5 minutes of their home. This is an ongoing effort for us, so we wanted to understand how we could refine the Outside in 5 initiative for evergreen success. We decided to conduct research and found that one of the most salient ways to bring this initiative to life is to uplift the efforts of local organizations who are making the outdoors more accessible in their own respective communities. As a part of the Outside in 5 campaign, REI advocates for national legislation for more parks, trails, and green schoolyards in underserved communities. But customers also want to see these efforts very visibly in the places that they call home and where they live. So we're also supporting local organizations who are fully dedicated to this work. 2 examples of organizations that we're supporting are Friends of Anacostia Park in Washington, D.C., and the Greening Youth Foundation in Atlanta. Both of them are preserving close to home green spaces in their respective communities. They're restoring and reconnecting neighborhoods that have been historically disempowered. They're creating more green jobs and the next generation of outdoor leaders. And earlier this year, REI had hosted a weekend-long event outside in Atlanta with one of these organizations, the Greening Youth Foundation. We had an outdoor fashion show that featured local talent that was affiliated with the foundation. The show also incorporated REI Co-op branded products made with our inclusive design practices. And this is where we co-create products with the communities that we're designing for. We also set up stations to introduce the community to outdoor activities with programming like a how to ride a bike class. We had e-bike demos and a climbing wall. The event was a huge success, and we also heard very positive feedback on the mission of Outside in 5. We also saw donations that were then sent back to the Greening Youth Foundation. So we recognize that local organizations are deeply rooted in their communities. They know the biggest outdoor access issues of their areas. They also know their residents the best, and they have already gained their trust. Customers recognize this as well, and they believe how a company like REI that does have a larger footprint, platform, and scale, they recognize that how we can help is to amplify the work of local organizations and community-led projects with financial and marketing support. This has been a learning that we have seen consistently in customer research, and it really has been great to see the learning come to life in the Outside in 5 initiative. You can learn more about the organizations I talked about and how to take part in this initiative and how to make the outdoors everyone's great outdoors by visiting rei.com/outside-in-5. Thank you.
That was perfect timing. Thanks to Jen. Next up, in a pre-recorded session, we have Peter Selinsky, CEO at Milo, the Action Communicator. Peter was clear that what propels the business is his awesome team and the work they do creating useful products at the confluence of wireless connectivity and audio. They have built Milo, the Action Communicator, to make shared adventures better by connecting people. Sadly, we can't play the timer at the same time as the video, but rest assured that Peter did brilliantly and came in just under 3 minutes as well. Thanks to Peter.
Hi, my name is Peter Selinsky, and I'm the founder and CEO at Milo, the Action Communicator. About 10 years ago, I was in Whistler on a ski trip with my 2 young kids when I found myself staring down a steep, black diamond run. My kids didn't hear me shouting and had already dropped down into the trees. And of course, I had no choice but to follow them, despite my limited skiing abilities at the time. When we finally met up at the bottom, I realized we needed a simple way to communicate, but not just to pull out a phone and make a call or use a push-to-talk walkie-talkie, but a way for us to talk in the action, on the move, and without having to stop. And so the idea for Milo was born. Now, of course, radios are nothing new. The walkie-talkie was invented in 1937, but after testing a whole range of devices from cheap analog to high-end digital, it became clear to me that nothing enabled simple hands-free communication without having to stop and interact with the device. And so I put together a team of engineers and we got to work. Our vision was to create the GoPro of walkie-talkies, a device that is simple and hands-free, doesn't require service or a Wi-Fi connection, and can deliver clear voice in even the most extreme conditions. After multiple years of solving some very difficult engineering challenges and inventing multiple technologies, I'm pleased to say that we have succeeded. To date, we've shipped tens of thousands of Milos globally, and today we're in hundreds of retail locations. We're fortunate to have some of the world's best retail partners, including REI, Shields Mountain Equipment Company in Canada, Globetrotter in Germany, and many more across the world. We've even been recognized with a Time Best Inventions selection. We've received a Red Dot Best of the Best Award, an IDSA Gold Award, and many others. But what our team is most proud of is our community of adventurers across the world. Our user base is incredibly diverse, from skiers, snowboarders, bike riders, surfers, Olympic sailing teams, mountain guides, Red Bull athletes, big wave surfers, kayakers, climbers, fishermen, adaptive programs, veterans organizations, parents, and many, many more. Every single day, we receive testimonials from our community from across the world, sharing with us stories of how Milo has helped them have a better experience with friends in the great outdoors. Our mission at Milo is simple. We're making shared adventures better by connecting people in the moments that matter the most. And that is, of course, when we're with friends and family on the slopes, the trails, or the water. And I hope you will join us. Thank you.
I mean, who brought this guy that didn't even unmute his microphone? I mean, that is, what a story. Incredible to hear about the length of time that it took to develop that product. One of the other things that Peter told me when I chatted to him before the festival was how this technology has even been used to save kids, or a kid that fell off a pier while out with their mother. And I just find that sort of like miniaturization, that innovation, so incredible. Like, what jumped out of it for you, Megan?
Well, first of all, staring down a black diamond with no choice but to go. Yikes. But really, I think Peter saw a need in the market from a really personal need for him, and just saw that it didn't exist. And I really like the process that he describes, right? He did the research on what existed. He tested what was already out there, and like really identified the key areas that he like needed. Simple, hands-free, no need for signal, clear voice. And I thought it was also really interesting that even though the solution was really simple, he also called out, it doesn't mean the process to get there was easy, right? Multiple years, difficult engineering challenges, multiple technologies. So I thought it was really cool, the process he walked through to get there.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that we've discussed at length before the festival is this idea of like visual metaphors, and how do you communicate complex engineering and complex products in a way that people instantly get it. And I think when I heard him say, you know, our design intent was essentially to be the sort of GoPro of walkie-talkies, straight away I got a picture both in my head but also in my heart, where I was like, oh, so that's what they mean by it. And then when you see the device, you suddenly have a totally crystal clear picture of what that is.
For sure. Super clear.
Well, shall we move on to another innovative business, and in fact a teammate of Megan's. So we're saying goodbye to Megan, but saying hello to the inimitable Rachel Julius. Rachel, could we please bring her up to the stage, please? Hello, from the other side. I must have called 1,000 times. This is basically becoming an Adele song. Let's move on. Now, Rachel, it's great to have you here. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Well, we are honoured that you'd be here. Now, I'm just quickly introduce you. I promise you we won't be cutting into your 3 minutes, because that would just be completely unacceptable. But Rachel is a qualitative and quantitative researcher on Under Armour's famed consumer insights team, with a master's in marketing from the prestigious Northwestern University. Rachel, are you ready to shine?
I am.
Fantastic. Well, Alison, please remove me and
Well, thanks all, and thank you again, Patrick, for having me today. I'm going to be talking about the role of athletic wear brands in the outerwear category. My team recently completed research on this topic, where we defined outerwear as coats and jackets that keep consumers warm. And really the need for this research came about because we felt it was important to understand how consumers think about their coats and jackets in order to inform Under Armour's strategy in the outerwear category. So I want to spend my 3 minutes talking about 3 key points. The first is Under Armour's historical brand positioning. The second is how this positioning impacts our current perception in the outerwear category and athletic brands in the outerwear category more broadly. And then third, potential pathways forward for Under Armour's outerwear strategy. So first and foremost, it's important to remember that Under Armour is a brand that is rooted in performance. So when people think of us, they often think of us in terms of on-court and on-field performance. While athletic brands can play a role in consumers' coats and jackets collection, what we hear when we speak to them is that they actually feel that they are less suited for the outerwear category. And if they had to pick, they would prefer to select items from more specialist outdoor brands like North Face or Columbia. So why is this? Why do consumers tend to lead more towards those outdoor brands over athletic brands in the outerwear category? And what it really comes down to is the fact that outdoor brands have rooted themselves in being the brand and having expertise in product in those extreme cold weather activities. So they're known for having expertise in skiing and activities like snowboarding. And while consumers don't always use their product for those sorts of extreme outdoor activities, they do have the notion that outdoor brands are really good at keeping them warm and generating warmth in the winter months. In terms of Under Armour's brand perception, we're really good at performance. We're known for having expertise in sportswear, but this doesn't necessarily translate to having expertise in outerwear. So I hear comments like, people will wear Under Armour jackets when they are running a marathon in the winter, but that if they're most concerned with just general warmth, they tend to gravitate towards those specialist outdoor brands. Now, what does this mean for Under Armour? So we have a couple different pathways forward. The first is we could decide to compete with the outdoor brands. So we could create high price point, high tech product, really focused our positioning on those outdoor cold weather activities. Second option would be to lean into our performance heritage, try to develop versatile, non-restrictive alternatives to folks' go-to heavy jackets. And then third and final option for us here is to create a line of outerwear that focuses on fashion and style-driven collaborations. That's all I have. Thank you so much.
Another one right on time. And I'm not just being biased towards Rachel. Next, speaker 4, we have Kevin Knutson, Senior Art Director, Content Development from Eddie Bauer. Kevin is an award-winning outdoor filmmaker and passionate storyteller with a career in creative marketing, content strategy, production, and brand development with brands like REI, Filson, and Eddie Bauer. Kevin is also an international street artist and public art advocate. Can't wait to hear from him.
Hi, everyone, and thank you. Sometimes the hardest thing to be is your true self, even in the outdoor industry, which strives to be inclusive, accessible, and welcoming. My story today is a reminder of the importance of being your true self, and it comes from American legend Hugh Downs. For those of you who don't know him, let me paint a little picture. Mr. Downs was probably most famous for being the co-host of the program 2020, along with Barbara Walters. He was also on the program Today with NBC throughout the 60s. He's an environmentalist. He served on the board of UNICEF and consulted with the UN. So in short, pretty legendary guy. But on this day in history, Hugh Downs got to meet me, a weird, embarrassing, neurodivergent artist while traveling in Africa. So Mr. Downs, his wife Ruth, and I were traveling on a ship together with National Geographic on an ecotourism voyage across the Atlantic Ocean. He was a special guest on board, and I was a young filmmaker early on in my career. I was there to capture stories, but Mr. Downs was there to tell stories. Our paths didn't really cross much until one day we ended up sitting next to each other at a small restaurant in Cape Verde. When I sat down, Mr. Downs was already doing what he does best, telling stories. That one time he sailed across the ocean using only a Rolex for navigation, the time he got to meet a Saudi prince, or the time he interviewed Coco the gorilla, and so on. But meanwhile, the plate of food that was put down in front of me was a beautiful collection of color. It was lentils, beans, vegetables, and fruits. And remember, I'm an artist, and these stories he's telling are way out of my league. So it's time for me to do what I do best, which is play around. I'm making a food face. It's a little portrait. And when I'm done, he's telling a story about visiting the South Pole, where I cap it off with, "That's fascinating, Mr. Downs, but if you look here, you'll note that my lunch is smiling at me." And I show the table my creation. But the table's reaction was silence. It was such a strong silence that it absorbed the entire sound of the restaurant around me. An effect I didn't know was possible until this very moment. I mean, I was outclassed by a mile. Ruth Downs tried to pick up the conversation. She salvaged it while I disassociated from my body. And Mr. Downs, who was silent for about a minute, interrupted the conversation and looked at me and said, in a very baritone voice, "Kevin, could you help me out? I seem to be having trouble making a nose with mine." And he showed me his plate, and he had also made a face in his lunch. And when I looked up, his wife said, "Oh, well, you can use my tomato." And she helped make a portrait in his. And before we knew it, the entire table had made food portraits out of their lunches. I apologized to the table and I said, "I'm sorry if this was inappropriate." And he responded, "On the contrary, I think this will make a great story." So I wonder how much of ourselves we lose to fear or embarrassment or a sense of needing to present correctness. I challenge you to always be yourself. And if you find yourself at a table with great storytellers like today, don't be afraid to share some art, even if it's against the rules. And I know we're not supposed to share visuals, but thank you, Outrageous Outdoors, for having me today.
Kevin, I could not love you more. That was fantastic. Thank you so much, really. And I want to show something to you. So before I start work every day, I draw a card to sort of give me some inspiration. And today's card, I'll read it to you. It says, "May you look beyond what can be seen." And it said, "Seek the possible in the impossible." And I loved what you said, that you had a canvas that was literally a plate of food, and yet as a creative, as a storyteller, as a photographer, as a person with too many hyphens that makes us all, the rest of us all, look like we're basically like slovenly individuals, you were still able to create art. So thank you so much for all of your support for Outrageous Outdoors, and we definitely need to see that artwork again. So hopefully you'll send us a PDF or something like that. Thank you so much. Now listen, next up, we're on time, folks. This is incredible, and thank you so much to all of those who are here live. Remember, you can send the speakers some love just by putting a comment in the chat here. Please do that. This is not easy for the speakers to do. So next up is Claire Smallwood, who is the co-founder and executive director of She Jumps, an organisation that unearths the potential of all women and girls through outdoor play and connection to nature. Claire, shall we get going?
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Patrick, for having me. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And Kevin, I couldn't have found a better person to go after, because I was thinking my story was a little odd. I was going to tell you a 6-word story to change your life, but then I realized I would have 2 minutes and 45 seconds left, which, even though it seems like a ton of time, might go by quickly. So I'll tell you the 6-word story at the end. We're all here because we love and believe in the power of the outdoors. And we also probably all agree that it's outrageous more people don't just love being outside. That's because they might not know what's out there. My outrageous idea is that nature is all around us, and it's there for us to tap into at any time to become who we are meant to be. We turn to nature for many reasons. For some, it's an escape from the demands of daily life. There are no deadlines, no internet, no mirrors, no distractions, and it's a place where we can truly connect with ourselves. Nature challenges us, it empowers us, it's a space where we can push our limits and confront our insecurities. And that's what She Jumps does. We harness the power of nature to do this. We cultivate the next generation of leaders, helpers, healers, educators, and now more than ever, we need strong girls and women, and nature plays a crucial role in their development. She Jumps ensures that all girls and women have access to this educational growth, transformational opportunities that nature provides. But how do you do that? Everywhere, people struggle with big questions about themselves, their life, tomorrow, the future. But the bigger the questions are, the scarier they are. These big questions require perspective, community support, and being in tune with your body. By tapping into nature, we can become who we are meant to be, which, by the way, does not mean having answers to all the questions. The outdoor community, unfortunately, has a tendency to gatekeep, to define what we should look like or be doing when we are outdoors. And today, we have a chance to change that narrative using a 6-word story. They said it can't be done, and while I'm no Hemingway, I'm here to tell you that it's possible to rewrite your own story each day. Whether it's the spit of green grass in front of your apartment building, the top of an active volcano, or a sleepy mossy pond you grew up fishing in, nature is where we go to become who we are meant to be. We dream, we jump, we grow. When we dream, we're a version of ourselves that knows no limit. But where does it go as an adult? We have to keep dreaming. We jump. Once we've decided to dream, there's a moment when you decide to let your body leave the ground, metaphorically, to try, to learn. You might fail, but you're never going to know unless you try. We have to jump. You've already come this far, so why not try growing? We're all on our own journey, the hero's journey to be specific. It's not all rising actions. Sometimes it's hard, it's sad, and growth looks different for everyone. Nature is always growing. We look to nature to become who we are meant to be. We have to grow. So here we are. I'll leave it with the 6-word story. We dream, we jump, we grow. Thanks, everyone.
Wow, I'm inspired. How about you, Allison?
Brilliant.
I want to be outside jumping and growing. I'm Mary I'm one of the co-organizers, and this is Allison, our amazing tech who's keeping us all going with people from all over the world. We wanted to say thank you for everyone signing up or referring a friend. And so we have a couple of ways that we're going to do that. Just thank you. But also we're going to pick 2 lucky attendees to win $100 Amazon cards. And for fairness, unfortunately, the organizers are not not are exempt. We can't win. So we have a list of attendees, and Allison is going to use a random number generator and draw some winners. So drum roll, please.
Thank you, Marianne. So here we go. We're using a random tool to do this, so it is fair. So here we go. So the first number is 151, and I'm just going to look at my sheet to see who that is. So the winner is Anna Nicole Ortega. Thank you. You referred a lot of people, so thank you so much. And we will email you the voucher. We have your email, so that will be on its way to you. And then we have a second winner as well, and it is number 41. Drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. Number 41 is my one of our speakers, actually. It's my Hentusagwe. I hope I said that right. And we will email you the voucher as well. So thank you so much, Mai. So those are the 2 winners, and I'll put that in the chat as well. Thank you.
That's awesome. So we're nearly halfway through and already have so many great insights. And if you're like me, I'm trying to write down notes of what I'm hearing, but we're going to save you. For our part, Patrick and I are going to put together just a key list of takeaways from all of our speakers, and we'll send that out to you if we have your emails. And for those of us who haven't registered but are watching online, if you'd like a copy, just connect with me or connect with Patrick on LinkedIn, and we'll make sure you get a copy. But I'm excited to see what's next and to keep being inspired.
Congrats to all those winners. Our 6th speaker is Jeff Espy. Jeff is a 25-year publishing and multimedia veteran. He's also a 50-state marathoner. Whew, I am tired just saying that. Jeff, ready to go?
Yes, today I just wanted to talk about my personal passions, namely the Appalachian Trail. As a lifelong outdoor enthusiast and an avid backpacker, completing an Appalachian Trail through hike was definitely a bucket list adventure for as long as I can remember. After selling my business in the spring of 22, I was blessed with the opportunity to give it a whirl. I'd like to talk about 3 key things I learned after hiking nearly 500 miles on a northbound flip-flop, from Paulding, New York to Katahdin, Maine, that was unfortunately cut short due to injury en route back to Springer Mountain in my home state of Georgia. If I had it to do all over again, which very soon in the future, my wife and I will give it another go, 3 things I learned would be, A, to listen to trusted sources, whether that be the ATC, the Appalachian Trail Conservancy, or veteran section or through hikers that have struck out before you. Really historical knowledge trumps everything. Nothing tops real world input and guidance. John Cromarty, who's a 2-time AT section hiker and a mentor to my local hiking group for over a decade, told me before I struck out, the goal isn't to finish the AT, but rather to enjoy every single step that our maker has created for us. When the going gets tough, whether that's inclement weather, injuries, gear failure, etc., then the goal is to finish. That was some sage advice. Number 2, listen to your inner self. And by that, I mean your mind, your body, your spirit. When you're talking about your mind, what headspace are you in coming into this endeavor? Are you mentally ready for this extended undertaking? Listen to your body. What training, normally long distance hiking, have you done to prepare for this potentially 5 to 7 month, pretty grueling endeavor? And are you willing to push through any number of physical ailments and hardships? As a marathoner and an ultra runner, I learned firsthand that the trail will definitely push you to the limits. And thirdly, listen to your spirit. What are you truly looking to gain from this endeavor? Could be respite, could be redemption, could be recognition. Only you can define that. But definitely listen to your inner self. Thirdly, probably most importantly, listen to the trail. There's a saying on the AT and other long trails that the trail giveth and the trail taketh away. And that's as true as the AT itself. It's a living, breathing entity, and it's not to be taken lightly. Just as I encountered the abundant generosity of fellow thru hikers, trail magic that we came upon, locals in the towns that I passed through, I also unfortunately experienced the harsh realities that the trail will dish out: roots, rocks, mud, inhospitable terrain. That's par for the course. So you just got to be ready for that. So I would say in closing, to try and trade your personal goals and desires for what the trail, namely the AT, has in store and demands of you. It's an experience like no other. So I hope my personal experience, can shed light on what I view are some key strategies and tactics, and will inspire others out there to try and plan and complete a thru hike of their own. Thank you so much.
Thanks for that. Our seventh speaker, just like the Oscars, is pre-recorded. We have Nick Menace, who is a project lead for turf and compact utility production systems at John Deere. Let's roll Nick.
Hey, thanks, Patrick, Marianne, Allie. So my name's Nick Menace. I'm with John Deere, and I'll just go ahead and jump into it. So when you hear John Deere, what comes to mind? Is it the image of big green tractors in a cornfield or a yellow bulldozer in a roadside project? How many of you thought of a lawnmower? Regardless of your mental picture, one thing holds true at John Deere is that we thrive in the outdoors. However, simply providing equipment and tools is not sufficient for a company like Deere. We needed to delve deeper into why farmers, road builders, and homeowners choose one product over another. For property owners, machine specifications and capabilities undoubtedly influence product selection. Factors like brand, dealer support, and of course price also play a significant role. Interestingly, our research revealed that these elements have a common thread. They're all tied to emotion. So what drives these emotions? It's a combination of factors, really. It's the pride of property ownership, the property's appearance reflecting on the owner, and even how the tools used for maintenance are perceived by neighbors and friends. You might be wondering, how does this relate to mowers? So when consumers make significant purchases, they consider various attributes, some functionals and others at times irrational. For example, when buying a vehicle, someone may choose one over another based upon how the interior feels. This unexplainable gut feeling is where emotion comes into play. Similarly, when selecting a mower, an irrational and emotional aspect may sway a person's decision. Think about it. While a basic mower can get the job done, emotional factors often lead individuals to invest in higher priced models. Our research identified 4 key emotional drivers behind mower purchases. Firstly, mowers serve as a reflection of both the property owner and their property, as we mentioned before, kind of acting as a form of outward expression to the community. Secondly, there's often a strong sense of nostalgia associated with property care and mowers used in the past. Just as preferences for car brands persist through generations, so do affinities for mower brands. Thirdly, achieving a sense of accomplishment using the right tools is crucial. Many customers view themselves as property care experts, with the choice of mower playing a very significant role in that sense of achievement. Lastly, the connection to nature plays a vital role. How does the mower or other tools connect the owner to the land? This connection really underscores that sense of achievement in caring for their property. In conclusion, cutting the grass isn't merely a chore for many, it's a deeper expression. The task and the mower become avenues for property owners to showcase their personal pride in their property, driven by an emotional component that defies quantification. So how do you measure this? So in my experience, the best approach is to engage with individuals, ask open-ended questions, and delve into the emotions behind their product choices. You'll uncover surprising insights. For example, consider why you chose your current car. While you may start with tangible reasons, you'll likely realize there's an unexplainable feeling that guided your decision. Hey, thank you for your time and have a wonderful day.
Hello from the other side. I must have called 1,000 times to tell you I'm sorry for breaking your heart. Sorry, folks. You know what happened? I was just eating a packet of crisps, a packet of chips in the American vernacular, and so I was late for my own festival. How very embarrassing. I'll tell you something for nothing, and that is that the next speaker will not make that sort of rookie mistake. That is because they are the incredible and also the very patient and forgiving, I hope, Jodine Williams. Jodine is a sports and exercise psychologist with a passion for physical activity, behavior change, and mindset. And delightfully, her business is even called Mind Advantage, something I could clearly benefit from after having been caught short by eating crisps at my own festival. Jodine, can we bring you to the stage? Are you ready to shine and choose greatness, my friend?
Yes. Yes, I am. And also I do eat crisps, even as a sports psych. So that's totally fine.
Thank goodness. I feel now so validated now that you've told me that. Choose greatness, and thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you more than we can say, Jodine.
No, thank you for having me. And I'll get started. So my generation spent most of our time outdoors. Parks were our playgrounds, trees were our climbing frames, and I didn't own a phone. So when I think back to it, I've always loved the outdoors, and I guess me and my mum are similar in that way. So my mum was born in Jamaica, the countryside of Jamaica, surrounded by nature and accustomed to it. She didn't think of it as being outdoors, she just thought of it as a way of life. When she was 10, her and her sister came over to the UK to be with the rest of the family, and from there, her connection to nature had to change. So when I grew up, I didn't see my mum spending much time in nature, being active, or connecting with the outdoors. This is a story I saw across my community growing up. That story was always accompanied by hearing about weight gain, being stressed, or having a long-term health condition. In 2007, when my mum was 50, the stress of life had caught up to her and she had a brain aneurysm and it burst. Weeks before, a series of events happened, and this included 15-year-old me calling the ambulance because she was frozen in paralysis on the bathroom floor, her losing her memory and only remembering who I was, and her stroke and an induced coma. That year was supposed to be my mum's last, but instead she survived. And in 2008, after the recovery, she shifted how she started to look after herself. She took up running. And not running on the treadmill or in the gym, because she's not really sure how to use a gym and she doesn't have a membership, but running specifically in nature. When I asked her what she loved about running outdoors, apart from saying, wow, she said she loved the fresh air, nature, meeting new people, and enjoying and encouraging people. Now she's known by our locals in the park, not only for the running and the Jamaican headscarf, but the smiles and joy she brings. There's something special about the outdoors. The outdoors doesn't judge her for her age, her gender, her religion, or her race. It doesn't make her feel out of place. It simply accepts her and accepts her as she is, and that's why she loves it. She doesn't have to think when she's in nature. So if there's one thing I want you to take away from this is how can we continue to make sure the outdoors excludes, and it doesn't exclude but includes. Market, talk about, and engage the communities by talking about the welcoming space the outdoors can be, how they can feel seen, welcomed, and safe there. Thank you.
Just wow. Jodine, thank you so much for telling us about your mum. She sounds like an incredible human, and I think next year we want to try and get her on to continue the family dynasty in Outrageous Outdoors. Thank you so much for that really stirring talk and a great call to action. And indeed, one of the reasons why we're running this theme of everyone's great outdoors is because it's not currently like that for everyone. And we want to make sure that this is a call to action, a call to take meaningful action across the outdoor industry. And yeah, just thank you so much. Now listen, folks, please, let's have a look at some of the quotes. Kim has said, thank you. Let's just bring this up here. Thank you for sharing such a personal story of your mother, Jodine, at Mind Advantage. Katie Burns has said, incredible. Thank you, Jodine. Lovely. Many thanks, said Simon. Fantastic, Jodine, said Lillian Morano. Great connection to pull strength from nature. Thanks for sharing. So much love for the speakers, folks. And please don't forget that it takes a heck of a lot of guts to get up here and speak for just 3 minutes, particularly when the speakers, when I say speaker, I mean myself, is just too busy eating crisps. Somebody has asked what flavor crisps they were. Chips in American. They were actually salt and vinegar, and they were fairly forgettable. But something that will not be forgettable is the speech from, I mean, look at how seamless that hosting was. That was incredible. Is the speaking from our next speaker, who is not just our speaker, but in fact our lotto winner, Mai Hitotsuyanagi. Mai is the director and leader of 2 organizations, Crux Heroics and also Send Sisters, a local community for women and non-binary identifying folks to climb in a safe space where they can be themselves. Mai, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Thanks for having me here. I'm really happy to be here. I'm excited.
Well, we are so excited to have you, and I realise I've written a complete dad joke here in terms of the sort of link to you. I've written, "My, are you ready to rock?" So let's just move beyond that right now, as you basically treat that with the derision it deserves. Could we please take me off stage before I make any more faux pas? And could we please introduce Mai to the stage?
Hi, everyone. My name is Mai, and I'm calling in from Michigan. I didn't have the best relationship with women growing up. I always had male friends until my late 20s, and I just didn't think it was possible to have a relationship with women that was free from drama. Like a lot of women, I got introduced to rock climbing through someone I was dating at the time. He took me outside, and I hated it at first, but fell in love with it as time went on. The relationship went south, and I started climbing with one of my lady friends. I didn't realize that I could have a supportive relationship with women in which I could feel seen and heard. But turns out climbing with other ladies is incredible. So I decided I wanted to start a community-based climbing group because I didn't have a community of women to go climbing with. Send Sisters and Crux Heroics was started because of my love for climbing and the collective of weirdos. I wanted to become the person I was looking for when I needed a mentor, and I wanted to create a community for weirdos to be their authentic selves. I want women and non-binary folks to feel safe and confident to adventure and recreate outside. Creating opportunities to empower people who are in the marginalized communities to build confidence to recreate outdoors is the mission statement for Crux Heroics. Crux Heroics and Send Sisters is a platform in which people in the Southeast Michigan climbing community can connect with each other, whether at one of the monthly events held through Planet Rock, aka Send Sisters, coming to a Ladies Climbing Coalition women's meetup at Dino in Detroit, or coming on one of the volunteer-led climbing trips I coordinate for folks who might not have the funds to buy all the gear or to hire a guide. I think there's something about being outside with a group of women and non-binary folks. We're just out in the wild feeling safe to take up space. It doesn't matter what grade you climb or how hard you climb. It just matters that you're here, climbing all the rocks. There's something magical about being outside and connecting to the beautiful areas that we are so lucky to adventure on. And by taking these folks out, my hope is that if I can teach them outdoor etiquette and to be respectful of the land by following the Leave No Trace principles, maybe in 10 years, these areas will continue to stay beautiful. I want to lead by action and example. Hopefully, people will be confident in their abilities and inspired to take these trips by themselves. My one big dream is to own my own climbing gym. I would have women, non-binary, LGBTQI, BIPOC route setters come in to host clinics, creating culture of giving and receiving feedback, and hosting workshops where people can practice skills you might need for the outdoors, because climbing is dangerous and I want to provide a safe space for people to try hard things. We are a grassroots organization run by me and a couple of my friends as volunteers. If you're interested in learning more or connecting, please reach out on Instagram or at crocs.heroics@gmail.com.
Many thanks to Mai, and a special shout out to her puppy pal in the background there. I always love a little guest appearance. Our next speaker, speaker 10, is Ana Nicole Ortega, an Ecuadorian American adventurer, and as she says, human being above all. Ana Nicole is currently documenting climate change in the Ecuadorian Andes through her project Ephemeral Landscapes as a photographer, videographer, and translator. Let's hear from Ana Nicole.
Hi, everyone. I'm super grateful to be here today. I'd like to share something from my heart that questions accessibility in the outdoors in a unique way. I'd like to try something a little different to start, so I'd love to ask everyone to please close your eyes for a few seconds. Now imagine you're standing on a rocky surface under the strong sun looking up at Cayambe, a glacier-covered volcano in the Ecuadorian Andes. Suddenly, a condor casts a large shadow as it flies above you, curious and majestic. The cool breeze refreshes you as the high altitude slows your breathing. You're about to go back to your tent for an early night because a challenging, almost 19-foot summit awaits you at dawn. But now imagine that peace is disrupted. That same camping spot now blasts loud music. Children are playing soccer around this delicate Paramo ecosystem, and there's trash scattered across the ground. This once pristine wilderness is now accessible to all. The dirt road has been paved over, and the grounds have been accidentally turned into a public park. The serenity and purity of nature sacrificed for accessibility. You can open your eyes now. In Ecuador, our rush to make nature more accessible has ironically led to its degradation. Paved roads replace ancient cobblestone trails. Loud music scares the Andean condors away, and the glow of lights obscure the stars. I challenge us to reconsider. Should accessibility cost us the soul of our natural heritage? Instead of modifying nature to suit our convenience, why not keep an adventurous spirit alive, even if it means a longer walk because cars can't reach the hut and camping grounds on Cayambe? Reflecting on the impacts of tourism, it's essential to recognize that visitors are not drawn to new roads or modern conveniences, but to the charm of these old cobblestone paths that tell stories. True connection with nature means feeling the elements, the wind, the cold, the sun, being fully present, spotting native birds, and trying to blend in. It's about embracing the wild challenges that raw, virgin, and remote mountains like those in Ecuador offer to mountaineers, birdwatchers, tourists, and runners alike. Who will want to visit these trashed places? In Ecuador, our development often runs counter to global green trends. Despite economic limitations, there's a push to urbanize previously wild areas, transforming fields and highlands into urban spaces cars can access, leveling hills and clearing vegetation. Let's rethink what accessibility in the outdoors really means. Does making our natural spaces easily reachable by all mean that we have to change them so much that we lose what made them special? How can we ensure that true accessibility respects nature and involves some effort and commitment? Could this approach help preserve the transformative power of experiencing these places? As we look to expand access, let's consider how we can do this responsibly, preserving the soul of these landscapes for future generations. Let's start a conversation that challenges easy solutions and promotes deeper, more meaningful engagement with nature. Thank you.
Ana Nicole, what a call to action. I absolutely love that. And honestly, you will not, you will just be so happy to hear that I literally sat here with my eyes shut, listening to what you said. And I've been lucky enough to spend time in the Chilean Andes, and you brought me right back there. It was so evocative. So thank you so, so much for coming all the way from Ecuador, like totally blown away by you and what you've had to say. Speaker number 11, folks, we're nearly at the end of the festival, is Lisa Boer. Lisa is a run coach who helps people run anywhere from 30 seconds to 200 miles. And I can tell you another thing that I've really appreciated about Lisa is that she was one of the first people to get on the sort of into the green room for this festival. So she's been waiting for ages. I just want to give a quick shout out to other speakers who are going to be speaking next. We've got Natalie, Micah and Christy. So stay around, folks, to hear some incredible speakers as we come to the end. Can we bring Lisa up, and can we get rid of me?
Hey y'all, I'm so happy to be here today. One of the reasons that I do what I do is because I myself love being outside, and I love the feeling that it brings into my life. Recently, I did a race called Hellbender 100. It's 100 miles through the hills of North Carolina. It's named after a tiny salamander called a hellbender, but the name is representative of what you find out there, which is tons of rocks and roots, really technical terrain. You're doing 25,000 feet of climbing over the 100 miles, which is 7,600 meters about, and it's very challenging overall. One of the things I like about doing that distance is the night portion. First of all, the best stories come from the night. You're tired, you're not used to being awake during that time, and everything's stripped bare, and you can't really hide anything during the night. And this race was no different. You take a ton of emergency gear, and right as we're going into the night, of course, a hailstorm starts. We are using all of our emergency gear. We're hiking and it's muddy. I have a pacer with me who's my friend, and my eyes start to close. And I start to veer a little bit, and I shake awake, and I'm right by the edge of the trail in a drop off, which is not good. And I turn and look at my pacer friend, Sally, and I say, "Did I almost fall off the trail?" And she said, "No, you're doing great. You look amazing." So surround yourself with people willing to lie to you at the right times, or look on the bright side. Also, one of the things that happens at night or in these races in general is that you have to fuel. You have a lot of output, you need a lot of input. As the night was extending, I was feeling more tired, I was forgetting to eat, and I was cold. We get to an aid station, they're about 10 miles apart, and a volunteer looks at me, noting my state of being, and he says, "Have you eaten anything?" And I look at him and go, "Oh my gosh, no, I have not. Thank you for asking." And I was very sincere in that thank you. Sometimes you just need people to ask the obvious questions. Do not be afraid to hear the obvious questions, and do not be afraid to give them. And as we continue this hike, I did eat, and we're going through, I start to see the light filter through the trees. I start to hear the animals that wake up with the sun. I start to feel my circadian rhythm inside of me kick in. And my favorite part about running through the night is that the light always comes. And thank you so much for having me today.
That was awesome. I really like surround yourself with people who are willing to lie to you. But truly, that was really cool. Our 12th speaker is Natalie Jackson. Natalie loves helping people learn that they can do more than they think they can, whether this is in her work in the partnerships team at Outward Bound Trust, in her own mini adventures, or in the work of C Sporty, B Sporty, the nonprofit she runs with women and girls. So let's bring Natalie up to hear from her.
So I'm 3 paces into my Friday morning run, and the guy I'm running with says, "What's your pain level?" And I said, "It's 4 out of 5." The physio had told me if it gets to 4 out of 5, 4 out of 10. Physio had said if it gets to 5 out of 10, I needed to stop because I was going to do some real damage to my Achilles. Now, I am a positive person, but I woke up knowing it was unlikely I would end that day on my feet. I'll give you some context. I was about 70 kilometers into a 100-kilometer challenge to run across Yorkshire here in England. I had about 30 kilometers to go. Why was I doing it? To see if I could do more than I thought I could. I had done a running course recently where I'd been helping some women learn to do their first 5K running. And they'd been learning every day that they could do more than they thought they could. And I wanted a bit of the action. So for me, this was a big challenge. I had never run 3 days in a row, let alone 6 or 7 for hours of the day. I didn't know if I could do it, but that was the point. I'd set off on the Monday and made some bad decisions. I'd had a few good days, but by the Friday, I was a little bit broken. I didn't want to let people down. I'd been sponsored. I was raising money for a really good cause. So I didn't want to let people down. I'd been sharing it on social media. People had moved their lives around to run with me, help with the logistics. What if I was wrong? What if I actually couldn't do more than I thought I could? I had about 2.5 hours and a half marathon to run that day. And the first hour was awful. At the end of the first hour, my friend said to me, "Where's your pain at?" Still 4 out of 10. I could feel the ache in my legs from 70 kilometers in 4 days, the weight of expectation I had on myself. And then the rain started. Now it was summer, but this was England. At the end of the second hour, the guy running with me said, "Where's your pain at?" Still 4 out of 10. We talked about challenges. We talked about doing more than we thought we could. And we talked about how it's important to us to test our boundaries and work out what we can do. I got to the end of the run and I remember not much from the last half hour. I remember getting to the finish and being asked, "What's your pain at?" It was still 4 out of 10. The truth I learned that day was it never got above 4 out of 10. I never had a reason to stop, so I didn't. So 2 days later, I changed my route. I had an unexpected rest day and I finally made it to the sea, got my feet wet and completed my challenge to run across Yorkshire. What it taught me was that I really could do more than I thought I could. But what I didn't know then was that 2 years later, I'd be working for the Outward Bound Trust. We're based here in the UK. We have schools all over the world. Here in the UK, we work with 25,000 young people a year from our 6 education centres. And the quote I love is from one of our founders, Kurt Hahn. "There is more in us than we know. If we can only be brought to realise that, we may never again settle for anything less." It's my absolute privilege to find companies who want to support us. We've just launched something called The Collective, which is a group of supporter companies. I'm not naturally outdoorsy or sporty, but I've learned that I can do more than I think I can. If that was true for you, what could you do?
What more do I say? Other than to introduce our 13th speaker, another incredible human, Micah Meyer, a professional adventurer based in Minneapolis in the United States. Micah, thank you so much for your patience.
Something scary has been happening in the outdoors industry and culture over the past year that's been hiding under the radar. And I'm going to take you through the whole journey from beginning to end through my research over the past decade. 10 years ago, I started planning a world record road trip to all 400 plus US National Park Service sites. When I embarked on that trip in 2016, in the history of the outdoors recreation industry in America, there had never been a Pride Month ad, never been an openly gay or LGBTQ plus person in an ad, and there hadn't been an openly LGBTQ plus sponsored individual. A year later, I walked up to every booth at North America's largest outdoor brand gathering and asked them what they were doing for LGBTQ plus marketing. The most common 3 answers I got were, "Huh? What's that?" And, "Oh, it would be too political. We'd offend too many of our customers." But a year later, in 2018, leaders like REI became the first outdoors brand to put an openly gay man in an outdoors ad. And in 2019, Eddie Bauer started a program reaching out to all underserved demographics. Then in 2020, after George Floyd was murdered, suddenly all those brands who told me LGBTQ plus people were too political really needed to check their gay box. However, now in 2024, it feels like we're back to pre-George Floyd. After the anti-pride campaigns against Bud Light and Target in 2023, brands have been scared back into the closet. Which is weird because this year, America's leading polling organization said that 7.6% of American adults identify as LGBTQ+. That's 1 in 15. This June, the Outdoor Industry Association released a study saying that LGBTQ+ people are, quote, the most active adult cohort in outdoor recreation at 11.3% of outdoor recreators. So we are punching 150% above our gay weight. And that's despite the lack of inclusion. Do you know a brand who makes LGBTQ+ people even 1 in 50 of those in their ads or in the publications editorials or in their marketing events? Imagine how we could grow the outdoors if our 1 in 15 were reached out to and marketed to the same as straight people. If you want to know more about this, there is a short documentary on my website that you can watch now for free. But as I leave you, I have a question for those who work and recreate with the outdoors? What are you so afraid of that you had to put your sudden LGBTQ+ commitment back in the closet? Am I really that scary?
Many thanks to Micah. Our final speaker, we've reached the end. Our final speaker is poet, philosopher, runner, and mom, Christy Spence. Having recently left her career as a corporate communications professional, Christy is currently writing, exploring trails, and taking time to look up and notice where the next path leads. Let's hear from Christy.
Hey, everyone. In Brene Brown's book, Braving the Wilderness, she addresses the notion of true belonging and confronts the paradox that Maya Angelou articulates in her famous quote: "You're only free when you realize you belong no place. You belong every place, no place at all." I read this book and I felt this strong calling to express how I am the wilderness, how I feel like I find belonging and I see myself in every part of what we experience in the wild outdoors. The peace, the beauty, the rage, the stillness. I started trying to express myself several times, but this poem I was trying to write wouldn't come together in any way that felt right. And then last November, we said goodbye to our dog of 18 years. And it was as if her parting gift to me were these words that came to me in the middle of the night. Here's my poem. I am the wilderness. I am the rays bringing the dawn. I am the gaze of a curious fawn. I am the embers raising alarm. I am the fire releasing her harm. I am the pine cone, a sheltering house. I am the scurry of a startled mouse. I am the seed released from the cone. I am a sapling seeking a home. I am the raindrops releasing pain. I am the soil welcoming rain. I am the wind expelling my rage. I am the mountain solid and brave. I am the one who must say goodbye. I am the one wondering why. I am the howl of a grieving pack. I am the silence answering back. I am the breeze wild and free. I am the shade of the canopy. I am the rain broom sweeping the sky. I am a vixen with watchful eyes. I am the ripple in a peaceful lake. I am the day you don't want to break. I am the trail guiding the way. I am the storm that says, not today. I am the leaves that cover the path. I am the snow of the aftermath. I am the balsam root bright as the sun. I am the lightning who answers to none. I am the river that washes away. I am the rocks longing to stay. I am a bluebird singing its song. I am the crescent moon waxing on. I am the darkness that says, enough. I am a bison, stalwart and tough. I am the earth who will always be, and I am the strength of her memory. So like it was said, I recently left the corporate work world, and I'm finding incredible peace, meaning, and joy in being outside and being able to write about what that feels like. I'm riding my bike, I'm hiking with my kids, I'm running with friends, and I'm learning the name of every new wildflower that I see. For me, the outrageous outdoors is where I feel most free. It's my no place, it's my every place, and it's where I belong. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Christy. Like I said, you're the last speaker. So as we get ready to leave the festival, what message would you want people to take back with them?
You know, I wish I had time to pull little quotes, like all these little pieces of wisdom that I heard from everyone who spoke. But I don't, and I know that you're going to wrap up with that. So right now I'm reading this book called On Trails by Robert Moore. And in it, he says, to put it as simply as possible, a path is a way of making sense of the world. Today, we've been given access to the unique paths of 15 people, glimpses into how individual humans from all different backgrounds and all over the world navigate this life. So perhaps as we depart, we can recognize that for the past hour, these paths have serendipitously crossed, and that while we all make sense of the world in different ways, the thread of enjoying and protecting the outdoors connects us all, and it's where we all really belong. So that's what I took, and I appreciate being part of this. Thank you so much.
Wow. What an incredible way to wrap up our speakers. That brings us to the end. I'm just going to say thank you to you. Thank you to all the speakers. Certainly thank you to Patrick, Marianne Smith, Janice, Allison Matthews, and everybody else. I think we're going to sign off. Till next time.